Welcome to Thriving in the Age of Disruption. Today, Dr. Ramesh delves into the remarkable journey of Ms. Nguyen Thi Nam Phuong, a dynamic entrepreneur from Vietnam. A can-do spirit forged from her post-war childhood helped her navigate education in Russia and later to co-found one of Vietnam's earliest companies in organizational development, charting its path of innovation and success. Join us as Nam Phuong shares her crisis-resilient mindset in dealing with setbacks and how these experiences gave her grit and driving force for her far-sighted business expansion into an online management training company using the learning management system her team developed.
Welcome to the Thriving in the Age of Disruption podcast series. We're so excited to have you here today to get your thoughts on entrepreneurship, crisis resilience, spirituality, and a couple of other topics.
Thank you for inviting me. My name's Nam Phuong, coming from the war memory of my father. I'm now 57 in the Vietnam labor market. I am the senior citizen who is retiring. I actually got 2 years retirement salary already, but I just started my third organization. I'm the lead consultant of OCD Management Consulting Company. OCD means Organizational Capacity Development. I'm co-founder of OCD, and then the other three organizations. The online management training company called OMT is now still alive, and efficient. OOC means OCD Online Consulting, because 7 years ago, we thought about digital transformation of our internal consulting process to make it more efficient to the customers. We want to cut costs for the customers by introducing the technology. But then later we shifted into producing the HR software, because I'm the person of two majors, human resource management and information management system. I'm the chief BA of the team to develop MES, manufacturing execution system, and ERP for manufacturing businesses.
We met about almost 3 years ago, and you've impressed me with your knowledge and your confidence, and more importantly, with your own background of having gone to Russia to study and starting in a field which is really new in Vietnam and creating leadership around that. So perhaps we can go back a little bit and have you share how you got named by your father just before he left for the war, when you were still 8 months in your mother's womb.
Nam Phuong, originally in Chinese, Nan Phang. It's a very beautiful name, Nan Phang. That was the last queen's of Vietnam's name,
Wow.
Nam Phuong. She died in France. She left when the new government came. And Nam Phuong was the symbol of very beautiful but very smart lady in Vietnam. She was the idol for all the Vietnamese ladies. She introduced a new thinking for the Vietnamese. In the past, Vietnamese family can have so many wives in one family. And Nam Phuong was against that law. She wanted to introduce the new law with one wife only. So she was the idol for Vietnamese who think of being beautiful, smart, and very innovative, and dare to fight for the right of women. She was the feminist, okay? So my father went to the southern front of war against America when my mother was pregnant for 8 months. And he just left for her the last words. And he said, okay, if that was the boy, this should be Phuong Nam. And it's the girl, then Nam Phuong, just because I want you to memorize the southern front. Like her father was there for the better life of the South and of Vietnam. So after 3 years, I met my father for the first time, and my mother took a long time to explain that was my father. We were very lucky because we got father back. That's why I always think that I need to give back to the life, because I got a lot.
Yes.
Yeah. It's the internal motivation for me to do something. I even don't realize that until my mother and father received the recognition for their participation in the French and American war, for their contributions for the Vietnamese independence. So I thought, okay, they have the recognitions, and this is also for me because, yeah, I'm so lucky and I have them alive and healthy and smart.
They have obviously passed on their great DNA and courage to you to take on what you need to do in life.
I think so. My father influenced me a lot. He left for the Vietnamese army when he was 10, and he could not write and read. But he started to learn how to write and read at the age of 10 when he was serving in the army. He was not official soldier, but he was like the assistant, and he could learn Vietnamese, Chinese, and then he was sent to Pyongyang, to Korean University of Arts, and he became choreography. He learned everything in Korean through Chinese, with the starting points that he could not read and write at the age of 10. So I think Vietnamese army was amazing. They could give him such a quick education, but he was an amazing person. He became the leader of the performance art ensemble in army. Later on, he started with the performance organizer, and it was in 1980. This very early for Vietnam, because at that time we had also the embargo. We could not do the free market economy. So for him to become entrepreneur with the performance art, he was signing contract for Đặng Thái Sơn is very famous Vietnamese pianist. Yeah. He won the Chopin Prize. My father signed the first contract for Đặng Thái Sơn to make the performance around Europe. And that was very difficult because we were under embargo. But anyway, he could sign several contracts for the Vietnamese to make performance in Europe. For example, the soldiers, even the normal people with the traditional performance art in villages. So he sent the villagers to Europe to make performance, and he could sign good contracts and earned a lot of money for the Vietnamese government at that time.
That's really interesting because in my podcast, I talk about two kinds of mindset that we need to have to thrive in the age of disruption. The first is an entrepreneurial mindset. And what I can hear from this story is that your father and mother at some level were very patriotic and they contributed to society and to Vietnam, but they were also entrepreneurial. And how I define an entrepreneurial mindset is, number one, you're someone who's resourceful. That means you look at a problem, you're able to define it and look for a solution. Number two, you're someone who knows how to deal with uncertainty and manage risk. And the last thing is you're creating value, not just financial. It can be non-financial value, and you're creating value for yourself and for other people. So when you look at the entrepreneurial mindset, you had such great examples of people around you, right? Demonstrating that, whether it was working for the government or contributing to society. You yourself have started 3 businesses. So can you share a little bit more about how you saw your own entrepreneurial mindset being developed and what you think is its relevance today?
I think I'm myself not a very much money thirsty person. Usually when you are entrepreneur, you all the time need to think about money, right? How to earn money, how to make it bigger. Otherwise, if you are not money thirsty, you cannot do anything about the entrepreneurship, okay? Yeah. So if we say that we are immune to money, it's just a lie. I think entrepreneurship is about creating value and get money. This is the money just to show your success. When you earn a lot, your success is bigger. In the past, when I saw how my father was thinking of earning money, all the time he was saying, oh, this such kind of performance people, the singers, the dancers, and any others, they can get a lot of money by making their performance. We are asking whether they are just thinking of getting money when they're performing, or they really love their job and they want to show this job to other people and advertising for the value, and as the result, they can have their money. So entrepreneurship in me, not because I'm money thirsty. I am working with my president. We were long time friends during the student time. At first, for me, talking about money is a shame. I cannot negotiate with any person about money. This is very difficult to overcome my mind of saying about this, because for me, talking about money is shame. If you value it, you pay.
Yes.
If you don't pay, means you don't value it. So usually I don't put the negotiation aspect into my work. Later on, when I was working with her, I think this is just the marketing ideas. You need to show value and communicate your values until people appreciate this and pay it. So entrepreneurship is about getting enough money for you to show the value and invest back to improve the value that you are delivering. Yeah. So for me, for the first time, I just love the work. I love the job. I want people to get it, but then I have my team, Ha and Kang, who is talking about money, who is money thirsty.
That's a good combination.
Oh, yeah. That's why we have more than 20 years together. Yeah. Yeah. I don't recognize this until we had the big problem in a crisis in COVID. When we need to keep our company, we have to sell a lot of properties to keep the fund, to keep our people.
Yes.
At that time, we just talk to each other whether we keep the company, we keep the value we already put into the name OCD, ONT, and OOC. And we are keeping what? All three, or just the mother company? And then we come back with the daughter companies later, depreciating our efforts and money. But of course, I think the stress on each of us, sometimes we need the money resilient first. With the money, you cannot do the important things, right?
Yes.
Although money is not important.
That's right. It's a paradox, but it is true.
We have to think of sacrificing some personal interest, some personal needs to keep the company. Entrepreneurship is not about doing the business alone. It's about teaming up with people who can be like puzzle with you, so that in the crisis, we can make the decision together and put our effort on the priority, and then rearrange the resources, the money first, and then the people. How you keep people stay with you? Because money only. Because a lot of people don't love other work than the thing they do in OCD. A lot of our consultants come to the company for their career development. We all the time need to manage their expectation about sacrificing money for the career. I think for the job of consulting, sometimes people in Vietnam, customers don't pay much for your knowledge. They don't pay for what you invest in the past.
You've actually touched on a couple of key components here in discussing entrepreneurship. And so firstly, yes, you're right. You can have an entrepreneurial mindset and not go and start a business or run it. But if you get the opportunity to start and run a business, that's also great. Being clear for yourself, what is the value that you are bringing to your customers, and how that value is just not financially critical. When you had that big crisis as a group, the fact that the three partners could come together and decide what to cut and how to reorganize your resources and prioritize the work that you wanted to do, because at some level you had the same value system. So you could give and take. Each one was able to look at the big picture, even though in your case, the focus was not about making money, but you could see the importance of having money to be able to pivot or to transform the business at that point, because the old way of doing business could not apply during the COVID period. This important lesson about entrepreneurship, and thank you for calling out that sometimes ourselves as individuals, we may have a difficulty about marketing ourselves. And this is where we can partner other people to support us, because if we can't be sustainable in making the money every day, every month, then our business is not going to be around, because we can't pay rent, we can't pay salaries. And no matter how good we are, we can't contribute that.
Yeah.
the second point, which is what you brought up here, and that's about crisis resilience. I define crisis as a setback or a failure that we experience. And some people can give up, some people can fight, and some people can just freeze. And I think you're someone who is willing to, in a moment of a crisis, get into action to look for the solution, to see how you can actually move forward.
I believe there's 2 points of being resilient in the crisis. The
Yes.
first one is how you trained in the past, how you were developed as a child. So I was born in the war time and I grew up in hardship until I was sent to the Soviet Union, to Ukraine to study. During the time I was the student in the Odessa University, I was learning linguistics. We got the scholarship, but that scholarship is very tiny. It's enough for us to live very modest life of a student. You cannot travel, you cannot do other extra than every day just learn and eat 3 times a day. You need to keep the money and never touch a single penny for a long time until you can go to see the performance, for example, in the theater. And at that time, when we were small, we all the time were put into the hard situation to have the solutions. The skills and mindset of independently finding a solutions was in the education of the time. Not only me, but my generation. When we identify the crisis, the opportunity for crisis, the symptoms of the crisis, then we are thinking of solutions. Maybe because we are very much alert of those risks. So risk forecasting is very important for entrepreneurs. No, high risk, high gain. People usually say that. But anyway, in a team, you have somebody to drive and somebody to press the brake. So we are balancing our team for risk taking and risk averting. So when we are doing the forecasting, we see that technology is the tendency and we love technology. I came from HP. I came from Kleckner, the contractor for the industrial projects. And this is very much the technology-oriented company. And Khánh is also a person who has a very personal interest in technology. That's why in 2010, we started with online management training.
Wow.
So online management training, the LMS, the learning management system, using the online technology was so new to Vietnam. It was not so new to America. We went to America and had personally seeked which provider we could get, and we decided to take Illinois University, the one who had 2/3 of their revenue came from online training. And they had a very interesting platform for that and Coursera and the way they are teaching. So platform, you can buy everywhere or develop. Coursera, you can do by yourself. But the teaching technology using the online tools and how to motivate, encourage your learners is a very big know-how. So we sent 10 people to learn this. I think in Vietnam, only OCD has 10 MOT, Master Online Teacher certificate, and develop the online course. And we sold it and we make the new OMT company to embrace that product. 2012 was still early for Vietnamese to make the online management training. And although we found the Moodle a platform for a lot of training, communicating, and this is a very good tool, platform for the trainers. And we had a chief technology person who found Moodle open software to develop fully for OCD, the platform, and we sell it to the companies. And the first deal was with American Military Bank, MB. They recruit more than 200 people in 60 branches all over the Vietnam. And they need to train them, test them, and then certify them after 2 months of internships so that they can make the decision on recruitment. Everything was online and it was successful. Yeah, they right away built such a system into their system. So they bought the whole system and the Coursera to transform into the internal system. With that experience, we believe that we would not sidetrack with the market. Just the market is too early to pay. They don't see the value yet until 2020 when everyone say you need to remotely work and learn. Then everyone just accept it as a normal life and people start to ask, give me a technology. So they just could use the Zoom. That's all. They don't have LMS.
Yes.
They don't have the learning management system. So I introduce again Moodle 4.0 to those who are making the training and they are so happy. So I'm talking about the resilience coming from forecasting, but also about the strong decision at the moment. So for example, you are buying something from Illinois, right? Sending a lot of people to learn this. Just everything is so new, Dr. Ramesh. Sometimes we think we are abnormal when we are very much motivated about something, telling the value of this, that only us saying about this. Not so many people talking about this. Many people were thinking, you are so crazy. Sometimes we feel we are crazy.
So I think you really touched on a great example here in discussing crisis resilience. Number one is you pointed to your generation of people who grew up in hardship because it was post-war. It's like you are trained to independently look for solutions. And you were able to take that way of thinking through all areas of your life, whether it was later on being on scholarship in Ukraine, studying with the limited funds to make how you lived and saved a fun and creative way, enjoying even that hardship of having to save money. The second piece that you talked about, which is actually very critical for entrepreneurs as well, is the ability to do proper risk forecasting. Because risk forecasting requires you to be clear about what are the mega trends that are happening in the world. And it's not about just simply looking at what I have done and I extrapolated what's really going to come. So when in 2010, your company decided to go into LMS, which was very new, and there was even no market demand. And people are saying, like, you're crazy to spend so much of money to do this.
Yeah.
And it may have been true for the first few years because you didn't have the customer demand. But then when COVID happened and everyone had to go online, you could see that decision you took then was actually the correct thing. So then the question is, as an entrepreneur who has made that early move, but the demand is not a match, how do you keep sustaining your belief in what you think is going to happen in the future?
Yeah. We in Vietnamese usually say you have to get the short money to nurture your long dream. Means that you need to survive first before talking about your future. So usually when we are developing a new product and service and we don't have the money yet, then we are focusing another team on getting the money. So we need to survive sometime with the fresh money on what we are not loving to do it. For example, currently training, I don't love to do long training because sometimes I feel I'm so distracted. But anyway, we need to sign the training contracts to get quick money so that we can make long dream.
So that's very valuable advice as well, because there's a time in entrepreneurship with a lot of venture funding being available that many people thought that they don't need to focus on providing a service which can give them revenue or income and to just wait to raise funds from angel investors or VCs. And then that created a dependency for raising funds. And so many businesses which may have had great ideas never saw the light of the day because they never got to raise the funds. And in especially today's market, it's near impossible to raise funds. So then how do you actually make sure you survive for yourself? And what you've actually shared is, as an entrepreneur who starts a business, you want to keep looking at how you can generate the income with activities that you can provide to your customers with value, even though it may not be what you personally may want to do. And you may be looking at something in the future, but you know that the demand is not there yet. So you're toggling the short term and the long term.
Yeah. Wow. Actually, we are overloaded with financial problems and professional problems all the time when we are meeting the crisis. So 2010 and then 2018, 2012, 18, and then currently we are meeting the three difficult moments in our company. How we depreciate our efforts and money before 2015, we had a very good network with the governmental aids, Swiss aid or German aid. They usually have their support for developing something. And of course, when you are getting such money, you need pitching the project and showing how you meet their objective. For example, we bought something from Illinois because the Swiss government supporting entrepreneurs applying new technology.
All right.
So we need to very carefully scan their objective, their requirements, and everything so that we can build a project that meet all the requirements and present to them. This is not easy for all the companies, but because all the governmental aids are very difficult to get and they are under very strict conditions. But I think Ha was excellent person in making this happen. We want the fund for 4 million US dollars.
Wow.
Yeah, to manage a big project in Vietnam. We hired about 20 international consultants to come to Vietnam to change the Decree 17. So people know in Vietnamese, Decree 17 is about the land law.
Right.
So because of the land law, you cannot make a clearance for the sites for the constructions. So we don't have road, we don't have the big construction site because of the law, but also because of the governmental project management.
Yes.
So we build up the capacity for that and change the law by hiring the consultants to Vietnam and manage the whole project for millions US dollars on the first day of OCD of 2004. So,
Amazing.
so I myself interview and recruited people online like this. In 2003, we just had Skype to interview people. And I got 8 excellent consultants from Australia, from New Zealand, from many Europe countries to Vietnam and managed them very nicely to work together. So I'm so happy because I was 36 when I managed the project and the consultants all are 40 something, 50. Even in Vietnam, someone is 60. So we finished the project. We got the money and the country has all these highways and the big construction site in Hanoi, around Hanoi. That was our success at the first time, but I was talking about how we get the grants, the money from different organizations. You need to meet the criteria and you really meet it by doing it, not just cheat them.
Yes.
A lot of people just make it appear to meet,
Yes.
but we meet it really.
Correct. Yeah. So what you're saying is that you can actually find different sources of income. And in this particular case, you looked at the aid agency as a source of business. But to be able to work successfully with these international organizations, you have to bring your professionalism and you have to create value, because if you don't, then you can get the money now and the next time you're not going to get the chance, right? So you have to have that commitment to delivering value and exceeding on that. And then, of course, it was a meaningful project because it actually made a big difference to Vietnam and its society. That's really great because as an entrepreneur, we have to be looking at different opportunities. It may not show up in the way we imagine, but if we are committed that we want to build a company which is sustainable, we're going to take all these parallel paths.
You need to deliver in a professional way what you promised. Then you can work with one sponsor, then you can have the next sponsor because of what you have done in the past.
Correct. So that's the word of mouth that continues. If you had to give advice to someone who is young and wanting to become an entrepreneur, what is your advice?
Some entrepreneurs don't have the internal resources. If you are delivering some products and service, you need to be very proficient in your work. The product and service, you love it, you make it valuable, you make it with your confidence so that you can be very proud of what you are doing. Then you are selling. Sometimes you have idea, and you team up with somebody who are very proficient in their work. So entrepreneurs is about money thirsty, but you need to have the insight, resources, the values of your product. Money comes to you because you have the value, not because you get the money and you think of doing some value on the base of that money, right?
Correct, correct. Now I want to move to the next topic, and it's about spirituality. What is spirituality for you, and where are you in that journey?
Actually, my life is very complicated, and I'm very unique case of not following any principle of life that people usually love. For example, when you have a big problem, you seek somebody to help you, or when you are sick, you just sit down, take pills, and cure yourself, right? When you are tired, you just lie down and sleep to recover. I'm not doing the same thing. I'm crazy person. Maybe I'm following my father's example. When I'm feeling tired, I'm seeking something to do to get over the body. I always need something active. For example, when I cannot sleep, then I switch on music, listen to it so that I can sleep.
Right.
Usually I listen to it half an hour before I can came into sleep. And my husband says, "Oh, why you switch on everything around you?" I love dancing. I was learning ballet for 9 years. And until now, I love doing ballets and watching ballet. So for me, when I'm very tired, I will do such a thing. I love sports. I can play very well tennis, ping pong, and swim. Then when I find that, oh, so tired, so stressed, and in a very bad conditions, okay, I go to swim, I go to play tennis and ping pong and everything, just to occupy my head. I need to free my head from the bad thinking. Even when I'm sleeping, I can dream of being swimming, being dancing. I love music. I love dancing. And that is the freedom for me during the time of stress. And people ask, Nam Phuong, why you have so much energy? I say, maybe because I am always getting energy from those I'm talking to. I'm talking to Dr. Ramesh, and I have energy for the next meeting. Always I feel some taking in.
Yes.
When I meet somebody, look at their eye. Even when I'm talking to somebody, but we have arguing something, very negative thing, I have another motivation for doing better after the arguing. For me, nothing is the end of the world. The best thing is the learning points for me to start a new thing.
So for you, spirituality is really about being consistent in your day-to-day actions with your heart and your head, the alignment, right? And it is really being in action physically and mentally. When you're doing that, you are here in the present with people connected to yourself. So that's really beautifully said. Thank you. And do you think it is possible for us to live a simple life today? And what's a simple life for you?
For me, I'm living the simple life. I'm easy understood person because everything I just speak out. So
Yeah.
I think I'm a simple person because people can look at my eyes, look at my reaction to understand me.
Yes.
That's a simple life.
Very good. Nothing hidden. Everything is there. And it's consistent with who you are, what you say, how you think. Wonderful.
Yes.
So you make it simple for others too
Oh,
to be
yeah.
with you. Yeah. Okay. So if you had to describe thriving, what 3 words would you use to describe thriving?
Thriving is just the motivation to do something better and better, and you really take action for that. To me, thriving is in your action. Not only say, oh, I like to do it, but I will find time to do it. Not yet, because I'm a person of action. So usually I love it, then I do it. If I'm not doing it, it means that I love to do other things at that time.
That's right. Yeah. And telling the truth to ourselves about that.
For my life, I see that I am loving to do a lot of things, trying a lot, but not yet there for my destination that I want.
Do you have a picture in your mind about that destination?
I think one day I will have a big book of the journey our team have gone through the 30 years. We are the combination of four generations from 60s to 2000. Although we are so different from age and backgrounds, we have the same thing of doing everything with heart and head, of trying to do it with the real motivation. We love the work. We love each other. We admire somebody in our team so that we can support and work with them together. We are the real role modelings, the top people, Khánh Hà and me. And we are kind to our employees. We take care of them. We communicating during the work, just the work. But if they have the personal problems, we are communicating personally, and we are helping personally, and we are devoting our efforts to help them. So that's why they feel that they have the colleagues, they have everything, and they have siblings in the company. So we have a lot of resilience. We are resilient enough to overcome the three crises, and I hope we might become better than 5 years ago.
After 2024.
I love dancing and I play pianos and guitar, but nowadays I don't play very well. So maybe when I fully retired, I come back and learn to play it very well and sing every day and dance every day for my grandchildren.
Wow, I got that.
I have a lot of students. A lot of people call me the teacher, and they require probably a lot in the Human Resource Associations. They also ordered me a lot. So maybe I don't have enough time to play pianos and guitars, but also come to the discussions and transfer my knowledge and skills to them until the last day of my life.
So write a book, go back and reconnect to your passion, dancing, piano, guitar, and keep mentoring the next generation of people in the HR association and community so that you can transfer your skills to stay connected with the community to empower them. Yeah.
Yes.
So thank you for sharing that. I've got 3 more small questions to ask you. What's your favorite book?
I love the 7 Habits. Nowadays, I love my father's book. He writes a lot about the wartime and I learn a lot. I think not only 7 habits. There are a lot of habits of surviving people from the war and from the economic hard time. Yeah. Very interesting.
Wow. Is it in English?
No, in Vietnamese. He's writing a lot, and because he's
Like a
old,
poem?
he's 90 already. So he just thinking of something that he write down like facts and figures, bullet points.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. And if you can have dinner with anyone, who will it be?
It should be one of the 2 person that I always talk to when I'm feeling stressed, my friends. They're not the mentors or any other person who helped me in leading the company. They just the person who is listening to me and don't judge me.
And that's a gift to have that.
I'm happy that I have those people with me,
Yeah.
the 2 best friends.
Yeah, I got it. If you could have any superpower, what will it be?
For me, you can influence somebody with your heart and head. So superpower comes from that. Give a solution, you give an advice, and it's really either from your knowledge or from your heart. Right.
That's right. And lastly, what's the best advice you've ever received?
Best advice, I think, was from my friends and also my colleague. Yeah, they say that I'm the best person of doing consulting work, but I'm very bad counting numbers. So I'd better avoid doing this to keep the image of lead consultant.
That's not true. I've seen you go through complex numbers and you made it really simple and easy for me to understand. Well, Ms. Nam Phuong, we've come to the end of our very interesting, lively conversation. I've enjoyed it. I've learned so much about you, and I really get a sense of why you are the way you are and who you are. I'm privileged to have met you, and thank you for being in this podcast.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Ramesh, for inviting me to such an interesting conversation.
Thank you, Dr. Ramesh and Nam Phuong, for your inspiring discussion today around crisis resilience and the importance of having an innovative and entrepreneurial mindset. Whether you're an aspiring entrepreneur or investor, looking for inspiration to overcome the challenges in your life, or simply curious about the stories that shape the change makers of our world, this podcast series is your gateway to a world of insight and inspiration. Be sure to subscribe to the Thriving in the Age of Disruption podcast, or follow Dr. Ramesh on LinkedIn and other social media so you too become a part of Dr. Ramesh's Thriving Network.